Hi everybody, my name is Anna Burns, and for my capstone, I focused on horse welfare and FEI show jumping. So for a little background on me, I've been riding horses since I could walk. They've always been a constant in my life, whether I was in the saddle or on the sides helping. This past summer, I was given the opportunity to do an internship at Branscombe Farms, which is a horse breeding and top-level show farm in Half Moon Bay, California. During the 5 months, I got to work alongside with many professionals and even vets in the industry. During my time there, a foal named Nigel, his mom passed away when he was 2 months old. At this time, Nigel needed to be bottle fed, and I was in charge of that. During this time, I built such a strong connection with Nigel that has truly shaped what I'm passionate about and reminded me why I do what I do. During the time, I wasn't just working with foals, I was working on developing young horses and even with horses that are at the top of the sport. So let me introduce the sport. What is show jumping? Show jumping is an international sport that has a very strong European influence. The sport has a very long history with lots of historic traditions. Some people think it's an individual sport, while I see it more as a team sport between the rider and the horse. The rider and horse are against the clock, jumping around a set course of fences that are typically 5 feet and up at the FEI level. FEI stands for Fédération Équestre Internationale. It's the top level of competition you'll find in this sport. The people involved in the sport include the rider, who shows and rides the horses, the grooms, who do most, typically all, of the background behind the scenes and care, trainers, whose jobs is to train both the rider and the horse, and most of the time are riders themselves, the owners, who own the horses and pay the bills, and the vets and show staff. Throughout my life, I've always known horse welfare as something many top riders look past. My horse, Bon Bon, has been a part of this firsthand. Despite him showing at the top of the sport, he has seen a lot of disrespect and abuse from his previous owners. This has led to him to have many complications with his behaviors and interactions with humans. Many seem to think this is ironic for me to own a horse like this. Like I said earlier, Nigel had a huge impact on how I see the sport. This showed me the proper way to bring up a horse. Nigel lived outside, he didn't have much human interaction, and wouldn't have had any at all if his mom hadn't passed away. During my research, I spoke a lot with my trainer, a well-respected member of the horse community, Julie Winkle, about the natural aspect of the sport. At the high level, we ask our horses to do something so unnatural, so how can we make it as natural as possible? In the fall, I was competing at a show I compete at every year. This time, I witnessed a rider many people look up to on the West Coast mistreat their horse. By this I mean he was running around the course as fast as he possibly could, kicking his horse as hard as he could, leaving blood on the side of his horses. Many spectators, like my mom herself, thought either the horse or the rider was going to die or get seriously hurt. This drew the attention of the show stewards and led him to being quietly disqualified. The show presented him as the winner, gave him the ribbon, but then later that night, when I checked the standings, he was not on the list. This made me think about why would they show the sport and this side of it as a positive thing? Why wouldn't we come out and say this is not how you treat a horse and hide it? The issue we see in this sport is riders at the top of the sport treat their horses as tools instead of partners, often overlooking the care and what's in the best interest of the horse. A lot of this stems from the pressure of the owners wanting their horses to constantly be competing and winning. This sport is only being closely monitored when the horse and rider are competing. When the horses are home, there's no one to make sure things are up to code, leading to a lot of questionable training tactics. Like I said earlier, this sport is very traditional, therefore it lacks evolution. When show jumping started, the economy wasn't so high. Horses weren't hundreds of thousands of dollars. The pressure wasn't high. And since the sport has developed, The economy has grown exponentially, and traditions have not shifted, leading to a lack of open-mindedness to evolve alongside the sport. Let me talk a little bit about behind the scenes. Earlier, I mentioned things happen behind the scenes, so what does that exactly mean? This means the issue of the sport is something you cannot collect data on. It's only open to the public when the horse and rider are competing. Behind the scenes, there isn't any show officials collecting data or watching over the barns. And this is where these problems occur. Some barns overwork horses, drug horses, and even at times beat their horses. Horses are large animals with minds of their own. While correction at times isn't necessary, there's a fine line between correcting your horse with a crop and beating your horse. Riders use bits, at times way too harsh of bits, to try to control everything that's going on beneath them. Have you ever heard of the saying, less is more? Well, this is a great example of when riders should be considering less being more. Many barns have turnouts, which is simply just an outdoor pasture for horses to move around and be horses. Sometimes turnouts is grass, and other times it's a dirt lot. Both have their benefits and are used for different reasons. On occasion, barns will not offer turnout due to limited space or the fear the horse would get hurt. Drugs. Drugs, unfortunately, are a very normalized tool in the equestrian world, many times abusing the drug use. While there are many restrictions around the drug usage and drug tests that go on, riders still find ways around them. The different types of reasons riders may be drugging their horse are: 1, a performance enhancer. A performance enhancer is pretty simple. It gives the horse more power to jump, leave the ground quicker, and overall have a higher chance of winning. 2, pain maskers, which are used if a horse is in pain or injured and will hide the pain from the horse so the horse can still compete no matter the circumstances. Others include calming drugs and behavioral control, which have different effects. While it might seem like a benefit for the horse, it isn't. Stimulants speed up the heart rate and has the risk of heart strain or failure, along with muscle tremors, and can push the horse past their physical limit. Pain maskers hide injuries and can cause stomach ulcers and kidney damage. According to Equine Business Association, the annual economic impact of the equine industry is involving some $3 billion and 1.6 million full-time jobs. That shows that show jumping is one of the biggest sports economies in the world. $300 billion is moving through this sport per year. Why is this? This is because it's not powered by the spectators. It's powered by the participants and the people involved. The question I was asking to guide my project is, how can people involved in show jumping make sure horse welfare is being taken seriously at the FEI level? How can riders make sure horses are being treated fairly? And how can people involved in show jumping make sure riders are treating their horses as partners and not tools? So with all this being said, what is my goal? While talking with experts, I connected with the owner of Horse Grooms, Danette. She mentioned she would love to work with me on collaborating and making a part of her website specifically for horse welfare. During my conversation with her, she talked about how this sport has so much information in it, but there's not one place for riders to come together and talk about the information. During this project, I had a very challenging time with experts. Nobody wanted to talk to me about my controversial topic. This led me to realize that many people are hiding a lot. It's a very hush-hush sport, and there's not a lot of talking going on. For my fieldwork, I spent a week in Florida with my aunt and uncle in Jupiter. During this time, I was able to interview Dr. Christopher Elliott, who is an Olympic veterinarian who specializes in rehabilitation and has expertise in show jumping in over 20 countries. Dr. Elliott seems to think that a lot of what is going on in the world has to do with the lack of evolution in this sport. He thinks that finally FEI and the stewards involved are starting to do catching up on the modernization of the sport. Next, I got to interview Nancy Schreider, who's a well-known horse groom and has a lot of experience in barn managing. Since 2013, she's been working with EAP, which is Emerging Athletes Program, a program for junior riders up and coming in the sport. She believes that the sport lacks a level of professionalism. There's a lack of communication, which causes a lot of confusion in the barns, leading to improper care. While speaking with Danette Nutaboom, the founder of Horse Grooms and a top-level groom and barn manager, she's traveled to over 40 countries and has worked for various top barns over her time. Through her experiences, she has seen many different ways horse welfare is done. In Wyoming, horses live in a big pasture as a herd. They come in once a day and have minimal care, but they seem to be as happy as ever. While in places like Florida and other show jumping areas, we seem to bubble wrap our horses. Their hair's trimmed perfectly, their hooves are painted, and other things. She even got to experience working in China with horse care. During her time in China, she was shocked by the level of care the horses received. She felt super sad for the horses, as they were literally going from a concrete box by 12 by 24 to, if they were allowed, 1 hour a day to a concrete turnout. Concrete is very dangerous for horses because they have metal shoes, so that's really slippery. She also felt like her being a woman in China made it even harder. Many men disrespected her and didn't give her the level of respect she deserved. The first place I went to for my fieldwork is Wellington, Florida, also known as the Winter Equestrian Festival, or WEF. WEF is the largest annual equestrian competition in the world, with nearly 7,000 horses coming from over 42 countries. WEF is a 13-week circuit and has many top classes, such as the $1 million Rolex Grand Prix I was able to attend. Due to the high competition, this attracts many high net worth people, such as Jennifer Gates, Jessica Springsteen, Georgiana Bloomberg, and the Wahlberg family, along with many others. Next, I got to experience Miami Beach Global Longines Tour, which is a part of the Longines circuit that travels all around the world to many different countries such as France, Germany, Mexico, and the US. This tour in particular is a very unique venue due to the location of it being on Miami Beach. It also attracts many junior riders as it's so close to Wellington, Florida, bringing a level of diverse competition and experience. So my essential answer is the equestrian sport industry lacks transparency and regulation regarding horse welfare. Governing bodies should standardize horse welfare practices and make this a priority requirement for competing. Obviously, this answer is a little unsettling, so I'd like to present some recommendations I've seen in horse welfare throughout my time. Something I believe that is best for the horses is turnouts. Being outside, whether it's on grass or dirt, has its benefits. Horses are able to move around and be horses, keeping it natural. Many reasons riders don't do this is they fear their horses might get hurt. And I feel this is a valid concern, while it's also another example of bubble wrapping our horses. Rest and recovery is another great way to make sure horses get the time off they need. They are athletes, and we should treat them as them. During the 13-week circuit you see in Wellington, many owners want their horses competing and winning as much as possible. Other great things like proper care, for example, vet checkups, farrier appointments, and other things are very important but can end up costing a lot of money. Therefore, it lacks at times. Like I saw at Branscombe, overdoing it at a young age is so important to not do. Not overdoing it at the young age. For example, Nigel is going to live in a field for at least 3 years so he can fully grow and develop as a horse. Many people try to rush the process of the young horses so they can sell the horse and get their profit as soon as possible. Other things like proper equipment fit and managing fitness is very important as well. Rewarding good behavior with treats also helps. So I hope this helps you better understand the industry that I love so much. At the end of the day, horses are animals and have a mind of their own. They're very large animals, but I can confidently say many of them love their job and wouldn't do it if they didn't. While this sport has many kinks like other sports, it also has many positives. So thank you so much for listening and giving me the time to tell you about this.